So I'm talking about fasting, but I'm not going to be able to give you a whole lot of great answers about fasting because although I've been trying it for a little while, and I'll say more about how that's kind of panned out, I don't consider myself as an expert, and I'm not going to be able to say do this, do that. What I will do is just tell you a little bit about what that journey has been like for me and where it's come from. Even since I was a kid, I've done Lent one way or another, and I have a regular kind of pattern of Lenten habits. I give up social media and in fact all media, and I give up tea and coffee, and I give those things up because they're the things that I really seem to kind of depend on and get addicted to. One of the points of Lent, of course, is to try to clear out some of those dependencies so that you can rely more on the God of love and truth who sustains you. So that had been a long time habit, and then I moved to Birmingham quite a long time ago now, and all of a sudden I was amongst this incredible Muslim community, an inspiration in lots of ways, took their faith incredibly seriously, and of course one of the ways that this was most obvious was in the annual observation of the Ramadan fast. And there was nothing like that I was aware of in Christian life or in Christian tradition, but actually when you go back, and indeed when you study scripture, you see that fasting is all over the place, and there have been long held understandings of what Christians should do in relationship to fasting, and very often of course fasting is linked to prayer. So then I kind of wanted to know more about that. Partly I wanted to know why we don't fast now, and partly I wanted to know what happened if we did. And so I started to experiment with it. It seemed to me that, like prayer, fasting was one of those things that you could kind of study from the outside, but was only really going to make any sense if you tried it from the inside. Last Lent, I also had a go. And so a typical fast would be to go without anything other than water, so no food, no drink, just water for a period of time, and I built it up. So the first week of Lent I gave up food and drink for 1 day, second week 2 days, third week 3 days, fourth week 4 days, and so on. Came out of that being absolutely none the wiser. I knew what it was like to feel hungry. I knew that it was also not that difficult to get through 4 or 5 days without food. It didn't seem to have a serious impact on what I could do. So then I thought, well, actually I do need to do a bit more study. I do need to try to work out how to build fasting into my life and make it something more purposeful. I picked up this book, which many people will have come across, I imagine, who are watching that. Richard Foster, A Celebration of Discipline, and he has a chapter in there about fasting. One of the things that he says is it can work particularly well over a longer period of time. So now the pattern that I'm undertaking is 1 day a week without food and without any drink other than water, and I choose Mondays to be that day. After a year, I think I'd say it was starting to make some kind of sense. I still, as I said before, I don't feel like any kind of an expert. I'm still unfolding something in relationship with God, but it does feel like something is unfolding. If I had to try to put my finger on it, well, I'd say the first and most obvious impact is that I now see a regular pattern of what happens to me when I go without food. One of those things is that I get grumpy. So I still cook for the family and for the kids on a Monday evening, and I sit with them while they eat. But I'm afraid they don't look forward to that like they look forward to food on the other days, because they know they're going to have to put up with me not really being able to respond to their banter, not really joining in. I'm just tired and headachy and don't have much energy. And so it's interesting and informative to see the impact of going without. How does it bring God into my life, or me closer into the life of God? I find really difficult to say. I feel that it is doing that. I feel there is a connection. I feel myself turning more often to God on a Monday as I'm prompted by the experience of fasting. What I am finding is that it's a longer term journey than I really thought it would be. I think that shouldn't surprise me or anybody, because actually that would be the story of my prayer life as well, that has developed in many different ways in relationship with my own life, and has kind of unfolded in surprising ways as I've learned new aspects of prayer and learned how to pray alongside others. I share all of that with you in the hope that it might be an encouragement to experiment and to try in this journey of discipleship something that many Christians have forgotten. No doubt on the other side of that camera there'll be people who have much more experience than me and knowledge to share, either with me if you've got any helpful tips, or with others in the comments. So that's me on fasting.